We all want to stay sharp, right? To really get the important stuff without getting bogged down in jargon.
Exactly. That's what we try to do here.
And today we're diving into something that, well, it touches many of our lives, either directly or, through people we care about. It's this idea about our hearts as we get older. Specifically, we're tackling this claim you hear a lot. Does heart attack risk really double after 65?
Yeah, it's a statistic that certainly grabs your attention, doesn't it? But what's really interesting when you look at the sources we have is that it's not quite that simple. It's not like an inevitable thing tied to your birthday.
Exactly. So our main guide for this is a really helpful video from Healthy Habitat. It's called Heart Attack Risk Doubles After 65 Unless You Follow This.
Catchy title.
It is. Yeah. And it lays out 10 really practical habits for keeping your heart strong later in life. Now, just to give a broader view, we're also pulling in insights from some maybe unexpected places, articles about doing a PhD, managing stress, building support, staying motivated, and even a Reddit thread where people talked about starting PhDs later in life.
And it might seem disconnected at first, but when you step back, well, these different areas actually shine a light on some really fundamental things about long-term well-being.
Yeah, like the power of making conscious choices.
Exactly. Those choices have a huge impact on our health as we age, and especially our heart health.
So this isn't going to be just reading off medical facts. We want to really explore this claim, dig into these 10 habits, and sort of show you how actively engaging with your life at any stage can make a real difference. Okay, so let's start with that big statistic. Heart attack risk doubling after 65. Sounds pretty scary, pretty definitive.
It does.
Yeah.
But the crucial point the Healthy Habitat video makes right away is that this increase isn't just, a passive thing that happens to you as you get older.
Ah, okay.
The key message is that your actions, the things you consistently do or maybe don't do, after 65, they're the major drivers of that risk.
That's right. So it's not a done deal. The video really emphasizes that you have quite a bit of control here. Your daily habits in those later years, they really hold a lot of sway over your heart health.
Which is actually quite empowering when you think about it.
Totally. And that brings us right to the core of the video, those top 10 habits for protecting your heart after 65. Let's kick off with number 10.
Okay.
Making sure you drink enough water every day. Seems basic, maybe, but the video argues it's critical and often overlooked, especially for older adults.
Absolutely. And think about the mechanics, right? If you're dehydrated, your blood can actually get thicker, more viscous. That makes your heart work harder to pump it around, increases pressure, and it also raises the risk of blood clots forming.
And the video points out something important. Older adults often don't feel thirst as strongly.
Yeah, that's a common issue.
Or they might deliberately drink less, maybe worried about needing the bathroom or mobility issues. But like the video says, that can be really bad for your heart. It needs proper hydration to work well.
So what's the recommendation?
They suggest aiming for about 6 to 8 glasses daily. Maybe more if you're active or it's hot out. And they give some practical tips too, like starting the day with warm water or adding a bit of lemon or something to plain water to make it more appealing.
That makes sense. And it's not just the heart, is it? The video mentions other benefits too.
Yeah, like better kidney function, clearer thinking, even helping your joints. It's kind of a foundational thing with benefits all around.
Right, a good starting point.
Okay.
What's number 9?
Number 9, avoiding smoking and secondhand smoke. Feels like we all know this one, but the video really underlines why it's still so important, especially as we age.
Indeed. Even if someone smoked in the past or is around smoke now, the impact on older blood vessels is significant. Smoking makes arteries stiffer, raises blood pressure. Basically, it puts a huge burden on the heart. And what's really striking is the video's point that even if you quit later in life, you still get major benefits. The body can recover quite remarkably.
Yeah, they mention improvements in blood pressure within weeks of quitting, better circulation within months. It really lowers your heart disease risk significantly over time. And of course, they hit hard on the dangers of secondhand smoke too.
So the advice is clear. Stay away from it, create smoke-free zones, and get help if you're trying to quit.
Exactly. It reinforces that idea that it's really never too late to make healthier choices. Even with a history, stopping the harmful behavior pays off.
Good point. Okay, number 8.
Habit number 8 is getting 30 minutes of movement daily. The video stresses that your heart's a muscle. Like any muscle, it needs regular exercise, especially as you get older.
Right. And a key thing they emphasize is consistency over intensity. You don't need to be running marathons.
No, exactly.
Just a simple 30-minute brisk walk each day can do wonders. Lowering blood pressure, managing cholesterol, improving blood sugar, boosting circulation. It helps prevent clots, strengthens the heart muscle itself.
The video gives examples like walking, swimming, yoga, tai chi, even dancing. Good options. They also stress breaking up long sitting times. Get up and move around every hour or so.
That's important. What about people with joint pain or balance issues?
Good question. They suggest starting with seated exercises or talking to a doctor or physio for safe alternatives. Find what works for you.
You know, this connects interestingly to those PhD articles we looked at.
How so?
Well, different contexts, obviously, but the principle of managing energy and avoiding being stuck sitting down for hours, it's the same. PhD students need breaks and movement to avoid burnout. Older adults need regular activity for their physical well-being and heart health.
That's a great parallel. Okay, habit 7 from the video is limiting salt and processed foods. They call excess sodium a silent threat, especially for seniors.
Yeah, and the physiology is interesting. Too much sodium makes your body hold on to water. More water means more blood volume.
Ah, so more pressure.
Exactly, more pressure on the heart and blood vessels.
Yeah.
And this can be worse for older adults because kidney function, which helps balance fluids, sometimes gets less efficient with age.
And the video points out that salt hides everywhere, doesn't it? Canned soups, frozen meals, sauces, even bread sometimes.
Oh yeah, hidden sodium is a big one.
So they recommend aiming for under 1,500 milligrams a day. That means reading labels, choosing low sodium options, and using herbs and spices for flavor instead of just reaching for the salt shaker and, prioritizing fresh whole foods.
Makes sense. That proactive approach, less processed stuff, watching the salt, it's definitely a cornerstone for keeping your heart healthy.
Moving to number 6. Getting regular heart screenings. The video makes a really key point here. Just because you feel okay doesn't mean your heart is okay.
That is so crucial. A lot of the early signs, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even early heart disease, often have zero symptoms. Screenings catch these things early.
Right. So the video lists the important ones. Regular blood pressure checks, yearly blood tests for cholesterol and blood sugar, and maybe things like ECGs or stress tests if you're considered higher risk. The main message is, don't skip those checkups. Even if you feel perfectly fine, early detection is always better.
And that reminds me of the advice about having a good relationship with your PhD supervisor.
Oh, yeah.
It's about being proactive and communicating. Just like a student talks to their supervisor, you need to talk proactively with your doctor about your heart health. Make sure you're getting those screenings.
Good analogy. Okay, habit number 5, lowering your stress levels. The video explains stress isn't just in your head, it really affects your heart physically.
Precisely. Chronic stress means your body keeps releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, high levels of these can push up blood pressure, make arteries tighter, even weaken the heart muscle.
And the video acknowledges common stressors for older adults, things like loneliness, money worries, health concerns.
Yeah, real life stuff.
So it suggests building calming habits into your day. Things like deep breathing, meditation, or just quiet time stretching, walking in nature.
Connecting with friends is a big one too.
Yes, talking to friends, listening to music, maybe keeping a gratitude journal. Simple things. They also say try to avoid stressful stuff right before bed and find healthy ways to process emotions.
This lines up so well with those strategies from the PhD Life articles, doesn't it?
It really does.
Managing self-doubt, taking breaks, staying connected with people. Those same approaches for academic stress. They work for managing the everyday stress that hits your heart health too. Social connection especially came up in both. Key for stress reduction.
Definitely. Okay, number 4 is controlling your blood sugar. The video highlights that even if you don't have diagnosed diabetes, high blood sugar can still seriously increase heart disease risk, especially after 65.
Right. What's really concerning is how consistently high sugar levels can damage the lining of your blood vessels. It's like making them rough on the inside. And that damage makes it easier for plaque to build up, leading to narrower, harder arteries. The risk is definitely higher for seniors with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance.
So what does the video recommend? Regular monitoring, obviously, but also a balanced diet low in added sugars and those refined carbs. Portion control, getting enough healthy fats and lean protein. And they even suggest short walks after meals to help manage glucose levels. And of course, if you're on medication, stick with your doctor's advice.
So keeping blood sugar stable isn't just about diabetes management. It's fundamentally about protecting your blood vessels and therefore your heart.
Makes sense. Habit number 3. keeping your cholesterol in check. The video calls high cholesterol one of the primary silent contributors to heart attacks in the over 65 group.
Yeah, and what's important to get is that as we age, our bodies sometimes become less efficient at processing cholesterol.
Right.
So a diet that might have been fine years ago could now lead to higher levels of LDL, the bad cholesterol. And high LDL leads to that plaque buildup in the arteries, risking blockages.
So annual testing is key. The video gives target ranges aiming for LDL below 100, HDL, the good kind, above 60, and dietary changes help a lot.
Like what?
Things like oats, nuts, olive oil, fatty fish, lots of fruits and veggies, flax and chia seeds too. But they also mentioned that sometimes medication might be needed as well.
So managing cholesterol is it's like keeping the plumbing clear in your cardiovascular system, isn't it?
That's a good way to put it. Keeps the blood flowing freely, lowers that heart attack risk.
Okay, number 2, getting close to the top.
Number 2, and this is a big one, monitoring your blood pressure closely, often called the silent killer, right? Because it can damage your heart, arteries, kidneys, brain, often without any symptoms you'd notice.
And what's really crucial here is recognizing that blood pressure naturally tends to creep up after 65.
Yeah.
So monitoring becomes even more vital then.
Yeah. The video says aim for below 12 or 80, and they strongly suggest using a home monitor to track it regularly.
That's practical advice.
Definitely. And they list the lifestyle changes that help manage it. Cutting sodium, managing weight, regular exercise, limiting alcohol and caffeine, and again, managing stress, using things like deep breathing. The core message is, even if you don't feel high blood pressure, it can cause real harm. So you have to keep checking.
Right. Proactive monitoring, effective management, these are just fundamental for preventing serious heart issues.
Okay, drum roll. The number 1 most important habit, according to Healthy Habitat,
Let's hear it.
taking daily action, not just sometimes. Consistency.
Consistency. That makes so much sense. It's not about grand gestures once in a blue moon.
Exactly. The video hammers this home. Heart health isn't built on occasional healthy choices. It's the sum total, the cumulative effect of those small daily habits that become second nature. Every time you choose water over soda, skip the extra salt, take that walk. You're making a deposit in your health bank, basically.
That's a good way to think about it, a positive investment.
The video points out that heart attacks often develop slowly, over time, from a pattern of unhealthy choices. But the good news, the really encouraging part, is you can reverse that trend by adopting consistent healthy habits. It's a daily commitment.
You know, that idea of sustained effort, small positive actions adding up, it really echoes the advice for big projects, like finishing a PhD.
How so?
Well, you don't write a dissertation in a day, right? It's built through steady, consistent work over time. Same principle applies to heart health. Small steps done consistently.
That's a powerful connection. Now, let's just briefly tie this back to those other sources. We mentioned the stress management parallels with PhD life.
Right.
But think about that Reddit thread, people starting PhDs later in life. They often talked about being more focused, having valuable life experience that helped them.
Yeah, I remember reading that. It's interesting to think that maybe adopting these heart-healthy habits after 65 could be seen in a similar way, like a focused, rewarding second chapter for your health, using the wisdom you've gained.
I like that. A second chapter for health. And that Coursera article on grad student well-being, purpose, community, social, physical, financial.
The 5 dimensions.
Right. A lot of these heart habits obviously boost the physical dimension, but they ripple out, don't they? Less stress improves mental well-being, maybe helps your social life too.
Definitely. It shows how taking care of your heart isn't just this isolated thing. It contributes to a richer, more fulfilling life overall, holistically.
So to wrap it all up, that statistic about risk doubling after 65, well, our deep dive shows it's not destiny.
Not at all.
It's hugely influenced by the proactive, consistent choices you make, like the ones laid out so clearly in that Healthy Habitat video.
And the really empowering takeaway here is that you can take charge of your heart health. These are simple daily actions we're talking about. It's about weaving those small, consistent efforts into your life.
Yeah. We really hope you'll think about these 10 habits. Maybe pick 1 or 2 that you could start implementing or perhaps strengthen in your own routine, starting today even.
Which leads to a good question for you to ponder. Looking at these 10 habits, what's one small, doable change you could make right now, today, that you feel would give you the biggest bang for your buck for your long-term heart health?
Something to really think about.
Just mull it over.
And remember, just like those first steps on a big journey, like starting that PhD, can lead to amazing things. These small, consistent actions for your heart, they really can grow into a strong foundation for better health and well-being for years to come.